and the wealth management firm are able to get a nice 7-figure assets under management sum from him. Guys, what's up? Matt Haycox here, and it's weekly roundup time on Sunday, the 8th of May, all the way from sunny Mexico. I'm actually probably going to be confusing myself a little bit here because for the first time ever, I'm recording this with 2 camera angles. I've got my iPad, I've got my iPhone. I've not used my iPad for a while, so I thought I'd record it on both, mix it up a bit for Callum in the edit. I've even got my headphones on because I'm in Cancun at the moment. Anyone who follows me will know that I've been on a kind of a 2-week, soon to be 3-week vacation in Mexico. It's the first time I've taken a holiday. That's a holiday. Obviously, I'm always traveling, but it's the first time I've tried to have a proper holiday for a long time, actually. My apartment in Dubai, I've been in a rented one for the last 6 months because, again, a lot of you guys will know that we're just refurbing a penthouse, which I've been doing for about a year now in Dubai, and I'm not due to move in until September. So I've been living in rented accommodation, and the rent ran out on the 27th of April. So I don't want to be in Europe until about the 16th of May. So Elena and I were talking, and we said, you know what, rather than extending for a month in Dubai, let's go and do something we have never done before. So here we are in Mexico, and I've been to Mexico City, I've been to Tequila, I've been to Guadalajara, been to Cancun. I'm in Cancun now, and that's, like I say, that's why I've got these headphones on. We're booked in one of these all-inclusive resort type places, and it sounds like there's a spring break party by the swimming pool. And then tomorrow we travel on. I was going to say fly, we don't fly, we take a car to Tulum. Week in Tulum, I'll be back in Barcelona, but it's been mega, and love Mexico. Like I say, never been before. We'll definitely be coming back again. Didn't really appreciate how much, how many different parts of Mexico there are. And when we knew we were coming, so many of our friends gave us recommendations. We haven't even been able to scratch the surface of checking out all the places that we've had recommended. But it's been fun. So like I say, definitely be back again. I recommend Mexico to anyone. It's, a lot of the places we've been to, it's been pretty cheap, high quality, cheap. And before we came, a few people said, you're going to have to be careful in Mexico, very dangerous. But to be honest, there's not been any time when we felt unsafe. I mean, obviously we're not doing anything stupid, we're staying on the beaten track and kind of going to major places, but never has anything felt uncomfortable or unsafe. So come. But I know we're here to talk business. I guess, although talking about holidays, it's funny because like I say, as you know, I spend most of my year traveling, and I kind of work from wherever I am. I always consider myself kind of never to be on holiday, just to be always working from a different office. But when we came here to Mexico, I did say to Elena that I was going to do my absolute utmost to be not working, to be off my phone, to be off my email and stuff, apart from during or apart from in really important circumstances or anything urgent that needed dealing with. And listen, I've done less work than I normally would because in the lead up to coming here, I tried to clear the major projects and things off my desk. But I'd still say I've been working 5, 6, 7 hours a day, which for me is kind of nothing. But I guess it just goes to show, yes, it's that old cliche that you've got to find something you love and then it doesn't feel like work. But really, that's what it's been like. That's what it's like for me every day. I really, really love everything I do so much that it's what I want to do all the time. So obviously, like I said, I've been trying to keep the work to a minimum so that we've been able to have a good holiday together. And I struggle in the time difference here because the Mexico time difference is 6 hours behind the UK. So I've tended to get up at like 6 in the morning, which is noon for the UK, put 2 or 3 hours in the morning, and hit the gym and hang out by the pool and stuff for the day, then do another kind of 2, 3, 4 hours before we go out for dinner at night and try and avoid the phone in the day. But I just find it impossible not to always be doing something, not to get stuck in, because I really love everything that much. And I guess the work takeaway, or the kind of the weekly roundup takeaway for you guys from that is just to always really be looking at what you're doing, and does it really, do you love what you do? Does it really make you that happy? Are you following your dreams? Are you following your passions? I actually just literally just before we came on this live on this recording, I just posted something on my Insta, which was something that popped up on Gary V's, and I just reshared it on my story, and it was a guy asking him a question saying, what age do you stop following? I think, what age do you stop chasing your dreams? And Gary's answer was at dead years old. I guess it's a real cliched thing nowadays about doing what you love, and finding the stuff that makes you happy. But it is, so important. And obviously, look, it has the added benefit for me that what I love also pays very well. I guess if it didn't, I wouldn't be able to enjoy a lot of the trappings that I do get to enjoy. The two things come hand in hand. And it's actually, someone who works for me, I was listening to her do an interview recently, interview for a couple of members of staff for her team. And one of her interview questions, or one of her kind of interview statements, which I'd never really appreciated before, and I'd never heard this, but when I thought about what she said afterwards, it's so true. She likes to say to her candidates, she likes to ask them, if they think they're going to love this job, or if they love their last job, and tell them that how important it is that they do love their place of work and the people that they work with and the job that they do, because ultimately you're going to be spending so much time doing it. And I guess it's obviously such a simple statement, but some of the simplest stuff is also the most profound, and I think it's just obviously so important for everybody, whatever the rung of the ladder, whatever their pay grade, to really find something that you love. So there you go. So what we're going to talk about this week, we are going to talk about how we rationalize ourselves and hold ourselves back and stop achieving our true potential. We're going to talk about networking, obviously. We're going to specifically talk about some of the contacts I share in my network and what my belief to sharing is. Berry's Tennis is coming up, my annual tennis event where we get probably 900 high net worths, ultra high net worths and corporates together over a 3-day period in Leeds. So that is a nice segue into networking as well. We're going to talk about what are your kind of sales channels, what are your routes to market, and the importance of not being dominated by any one particular channel, because I had a big problem in one of my businesses over the last couple of weeks where we were far too heavily dominated by one particular channel, Google search, and there was a Google problem for about 2 weeks and it killed us. It absolutely fucked our sales. Whatever line of business we're in, I'm sure so many of you guys are too reliant on one particular source, whether that is a key salesman, or whether you're whether you're an influencer and you're on social media and you're big on Instagram but you don't do anything with TikTok or Facebook or Twitter or whatever it may be, and one of these platforms gets shut down and you are fucked. So we're going to talk about that. That's something big to think about. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about follow-up, the art of the follow-up, and how an email or a text message, despite the soundbite, despite the old adage, is never enough. So let's get on with it, guys. Right, first of all, we'll talk about rationalization and how we rationalize ourselves into second best. It's hot in here. I put the air conditioning on as low as it would go, or as high as it would go before we started. But I am cooking, absolutely cooking. Right, semi-personal story, but must be shared to kind of give context here. 7 or 8 weeks ago, I was having a bit of a drunken argument with Elena. Or let me rephrase that, she was having a drunken argument with me because I was sober, nor do I argue. And in this drunken argument, she basically gave me a bit of grief and said that, you're fat, you're overweight, I've never been with a guy who is as out of shape as you, and I sometimes find it hard to come to terms with. Now look, I'm not going to what's the word? condone what she said. I think it was delivered in a pretty shitty manner, but it was drunken talk, and it is what it is. But as the old saying goes, drunks and babies never lie, and there is an element of truth, at least in every drunken statement. And like I say, I was a bit shocked by it at first, thinking, well, listen, what are you talking about? I'm not. Okay, I might be able to shed a few pounds. I live a good life. I love my food. I love my wine. But I hit the gym. I'm not particularly out of shape. Some would probably say I'm not even out of shape at all. Am I peak performance? Certainly not. Do I have a six pack? Absolutely not. But am I? Am I really that tragically bad that it was worth this argument over? So first of all, like I say, initially I was a bit like, wow, what the fuck? And then, I always like a challenge, and I always like to fight back. So at that point, then I was like, you know what, fuck you. You think I'm overweight? Believe me, I won't fucking eat another thing. I will get so skinny, people will think I've got AIDS, and you'll be the fat little girl sat next to me. And that was my kind of second reaction. And then I thought, you know what, okay, listen, I've always wanted to lose a bit more weight. Maybe this is the motivation that I need. So for the next kind of 2, 3, 4 days, I went on a massive, massive nil by mouth, if you like. I think whenever I go on my diets or whenever I go on a bit of a health kick, I always like to hit it hard at the beginning, because I just think it's good to, it's a bit depressing when you're trying to lose weight and you kind of lose a pound a week here or a couple of pounds a month there. So I find it hard to stick to. So I thought, well, I'm going to do 3 or 4 days at the beginning and nigh on starve myself, and then I'll get back to Dubai, because we were skiing at the time this argument happened. I get back to Dubai, get my trainer in, start eating better, and off you go. Anyway, and that's kind of what I did. Went back to Dubai, saw some specialists in terms of diet and peak performance and any vitamins, minerals, anything I can do to, I guess, make my performance better, make my metabolism better, make my diet better. I thought, I'm going to hit this hard. And that's what I've done over the last 6 or 7 weeks. And again, for anyone who follows me regularly, you'll probably see me in the gym a lot more than ever. And you'll have seen I've lost weight. I actually didn't get weighed until this morning, genuinely this morning. I rarely weigh myself. I always have a simple philosophy that if I look down in the shower and I can see my dick, then I'm not overweight. And that's how I've kind of weighed myself for the last few years. But I thought, what, let's actually kind of measure this. So I weighed 92 kilograms this morning. 92 kilograms, 202 pounds, and it's I say it's the least I've been for a while. Like I said, I don't weigh myself regularly, but it's definitely lower than I remember in historical times. But also, people who know me and see me regularly, and even people who don't and message I get on Instagram, everyone can very clearly see. My stomach's a lot flatter, my face is a bit less puffy, and I'm 100% losing weight. And I am so motivated now on this kind of mission. I'm eating better, I'm drinking less, I'm working out like a beast, and I'm loving seeing the results. And I tell you this story, like I say, it was a semi-personal argument how it got there in the first place. But now I kind of look back, and it makes me realise how much I rationalized the fact that I was happy with my weight, and how, I guess we as humans, rationalize so many things that ultimately inhibit our performance. I used to look at myself and I'd go, could I lose some weight? Yeah, I could. But I'd always go, I don't care, because you know what? I'm successful. I don't struggle to get girls, and I love my food and drink. To me, the food and drink is more important than the six pack. What do I need to lose any more weight for? Because everything's happy. And I kind of rationalize my position that I didn't need to do any more, or I wasn't able to do any more, and I couldn't have it all, but what I've got was enough. And now I look back and I actually think, well, that's just absolute bullshit. That was just me justifying to myself why it was okay for me to be lazy enough to to not get into shape, and I'd say, "Ooh, I love my food." Okay, I still love my food, and believe me, when I'm eating, I'm not eating boring. But I'll make sure I don't take the bread basket in the restaurant, or I'll make sure I'm not lying in bed with a bar of chocolate, or whatever the things were that I guess would be complete unnecessary indulgences. I'll still eat out most nights of the week. Still order good fun stuff in the menu, but it'll be more protein than carbs, or it'll be if I'm drinking, I'll stop having the sugary drinks and have a no sugar version, or I'll be having wine, not cocktails. Whatever it is. Like I say, I'm not preaching a boring life by any stretch, but I tell a story to say that when I look back, I was just completely allowing myself to fail by justifying the things that were good. And I talk about that in terms of health and fitness and weight loss, but it applies to everything. Whether that's that you can't get a promotion at work because you can't do the things that you need to do, but that you don't need to do it because you're happy with the money that you're earning, or you don't, I don't know, maybe it's to do with your relationship with your wife or the relationship with your kids, and you rationalize the fact that it's okay for you not to see your kids enough because you're working hard to provide for them, or whatever it may be. We can apply it to absolutely anything, and like I said, whilst I was probably taken back by the delivery of this message when it happened, I'm kind of so grateful it did happen, because it's really woken me up to sorting my fitness out, and for health and fitness once and for all, and B, the importance of not rationalising ourselves into second best and into failure. So that's that. So you see the sweat coming through. I'm absolutely cooking in this room. So as I said, my tennis event, Berries Tennis, is coming up soon on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of June. A nice little plug there. So if you haven't got a ticket, if you haven't got a table and you want to come and you want to see me, or you want to see and get to meet any of the 900 high net worths, corporates and ultra high net worths who are going to be at the event over the 3 days on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of June, then do get in touch. Drop me a DM on Insta, drop me an email at matt@haycox.com. Or go on the website www.berriestennis.co.uk and check it out. Now, we've put Berries Tennis on now been going for about 6 years. We've missed the last 2 years because of COVID, so it always happens in June. So we didn't do June 20 and we didn't do June 21. We've last done it in June 2019, but going to be back this year, 2022. We're going to be bigger and better than ever. We've got more budget going into it. We've got some new sponsors. We always have a car sponsor, but we've always historically had one showroom type second-hand car dealers, but this year we've just signed up with JCT 600. Anyone who lives in Yorkshire will know JCT in some form, I'm sure. Those guys have got pretty much every cool major brand you can ask for: Ferrari, Bentley, Aston Martin, Rolls-Royce. What else do they do? Maserati. All the cool cars, and they're going to be bringing the cars down. Obviously, Berries bringing down their jewellery and the Patek Philippe watches. We're probably going to have a pop-up art dealer. And also we've got a couple of singers this year. Brian McFadden will be closing out the event on Friday night, and Arj of Towie fame will be singing on the Wednesday. So like I say, this didn't start out as a plug, but it did end up as one. But if you want to check out the event, and if you want to meet great people, because that's what this event is always about for me. That's why we started putting these on. Getting together. The best businesses in Yorkshire, the wealthiest people in Yorkshire, to network in a great fun environment, and people who want to come back time and time again. Actually, which leads me on to a little story which I wasn't planning on telling now, but it just made me think. We get the people who buy tables off us tend to be buying tables of 10, looking to entertain their guests. And I guess again, typically are high net worth individuals or corporates that they do business with. And a couple of years ago, when the event was last on, we were sponsored and hired by a wealth management company who was looking to entertain a customer that they've been trying to land for a while. Now, this particular guy, very, very wealthy guy, probably 100+ million, who had sold a business and was now living outside of the UK. And anytime he kind of came back to the UK, this wealth management firm were trying to sit him down and take him to dinner or take him to the football or cricket or whatever it may be, because obviously they wanted to entertain him, get to know him, and do some business with him. And they were always struggling to pin this guy down, because ultimately, as a wealthy guy like that, you can do whatever you want whenever you want anyway. And to be invited to dinner or to be invited to the football, by someone who's trying to pitch you and do business with you, is not really a great sell. Because if they want to go for dinner, if they want to go to the football, they'll go themselves, and they won't have to be there, with somebody who's trying to sell to them. So they could never land him. Anyway, they knew this guy was a big tennis fan. And obviously, one of the things that we have the ability to do at our tennis event is grant access to the players, because obviously they are one of our assets. So what I offered this wealth management firm, if they became one of our sponsors, was that I would arrange a game of doubles for this particular individual to play tennis with a couple of the legends. I think it was with Richard Krajicek, who won Wimbledon, and with Henri Leconte, who's another very famous legend tennis player. And this is a real money can't buy experience. So all of a sudden, this wealth management firm have been able to get in touch with a guy that they can never pin him down when he's in the country anyway, and say to him, listen, would you like to come to England to be a guest at this tennis event? And we know you're a tennis fan, so we've arranged for you to play a game of doubles with Richard Krajicek and Henri Leconte. All of a sudden, this is a completely different dynamic for this guy, and he jumps on a plane, comes to England, comes to the event, plays doubles, plays tennis, and goes to the event, loves the tennis, has a great time, and the wealth management firm are able to close a deal with him and get a nice 7-figure assets under management sum from him. And the little final twist to that story was the person he played doubles against was actually me, because obviously I cannot avoid the opportunity to be able to get to meet these people myself as well. After all, that's what I create the events for. But whenever I'm talking to you guys about networking, I'm always talking about doing things that when you pick your targets, you've got to offer them something different, offer them something special that nobody else can do, or that they could rarely get the opportunity to do that. Because how many times do you yourselves, because it happens to me daily, literally daily, I will get message after message in my LinkedIn or my Instagram, wherever it is, Matt, please can we meet up? Can I have an hour of your time? Can I take you for a coffee? Can I take you for lunch? And the bottom line is, I don't need taking for coffee. I don't need taking for lunch. If I'm going to go for coffee, I'll go and buy my own coffee. If I'm going to go for lunch, I'll be going for lunch with someone that I want to go for lunch with, which is either going to be someone I'm trying to do business with, or a friend, or a family, or one of my work colleagues, because I've only got 7 lunches to use across the week. So I'm certainly not going to, what I would call, waste them on someone who's messaged me on LinkedIn saying, please can I take you for lunch? They'll tell you they've got a life-changing opportunity for me, and I'm yet to find anyone who is going to cold call me with a life-changing opportunity that is life-changing for anyone other than them. But if someone were to put the effort into knowing, what I like, or what I love, what I really enjoy doing, something that I've wanted to do that I've never have done, which doesn't necessarily have to be expensive, and if they could offer me that, then that obviously brings a whole new dynamic into play, and I'm a hell of a lot more likely to answer that message, to go and accept that invitation. So that's where the tennis came from. But talking tennis, one of the guys from Berries who I give quite a few introductions to, in terms of people who want to buy Patek Philippe watches or people who want to buy jewellery. He messaged me the other week saying, thanks a lot for the introduction. That was a fantastic guy you've introduced me to. We're going to do a lot of business together. And I'm really appreciative of it because no one else I know would give up an introduction to a contact like that. So I really appreciate it. And I just thought, you know what, when he sent me that message, I thought that has given me something to talk about in these weekly roundups, because I actually used to be semi-stingy with my contacts as well. And most of the people that I know in business probably would behave the same. But I'm now such a believer in the fact that there is so much money to go around. There's so much opportunity for all of us out there that there's really nothing to be gained by hoarding contacts, by not helping other people meet people that would be mutually beneficial relationships, or by trying to take a clip out of every deal. There's always a fine line between saying, when do you introduce someone? When do you introduce them for free? When do you introduce someone and ask for a clip? Or when do you introduce someone and expect to be part of a deal as well? And I have a very simple philosophy, which is, if it's my core business, then I want to earn off it. So if it's to do with loans, if it's to do with investment, if it's to do with brokering, a business deal in my field, then I want paying. Quite simple. If it's absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever, and I'm not going to be putting any effort into this other than making an introduction, then I don't want anything from it. I don't know what an example of that could be, but let's just, I don't know, let's just say I happen to meet somebody who is in a similar area to what another friend of mine or another contact of mine is in. And if I put those two together, there's probably some synergies that they could do business together on. I would happily introduce those people and not expect a penny, even if they made millions and millions of pounds together, because I've done nothing other than put the contact together. If somebody came to me with a very specific deal and said, listen, this is the deal, it's going to make this amount of money, but I need to meet that person to make it happen, and I know that person, I can make the introduction, I would probably, maybe I'd be saying, well, all right, well, you can give me a clip out of this, give me a drink out of this if you get the deal done. But I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to be a pain and, plonk myself in the deal and turn up at the meetings and stuff. I just make the introduction. So look, it depends on the circumstances, but the general principle is that I will be very, very generous in making introductions to people, because I now very much take the view that there is more than enough money to go around for everybody to be happy. And one thing that I used to do with my investors is, obviously I deal with my investors who would invest in my products, and these would be investors that I've put the effort into finding, that I've nurtured, I've converted, I've nurtured them further after I've converted them, and I was very precious about them because ultimately I'm thinking, whatever money they've got, I need their money to be invested in my projects. So if people ever came to me and said, have you got an investor you could introduce me to for this, that, or the other, even though these people offered to pay me for it, I would always say no, because I felt that if I ever introduced anyone else to these investors, they would be giving them money that could be money coming in my direction, and that I'd be losing control of a relationship. So I never did it. But lately, a couple of investment managers have been coming to me asking for introductions to some of the people in my contact base when they've got deals that need funding. And some of these people, initially I only did this because I felt I owed a couple of these people a favour. So I made a couple of introductions to some of my investors, and these investors actually invested, and I got paid. I got paid some pretty handsome commissions on this as well. And I'm really glad it happened, because it was a big wake-up call to me to realise that, hang on a minute, okay, maybe when I first started raising money from my investors, I was dealing with quite small-time investors who only had 5 or 6 figure sums to invest. So maybe I really did need to keep all their money for me, because they didn't have enough to go around. But the caliber of investors I tend to deal with now, I've got 7, 8, 9 plus figures to, of available disposable investment capital. And there is no way, as much as I may like to think that they want to give me all their money, there is no way that all of that money is coming in my direction. So ultimately, I would be foolish not to allow introductions to other people, because, first of all, these people may, well, they're certainly not going to want to put all their eggs in my basket. Some of these people, because I know a lot of wealthy people who don't invest with me because maybe what I do just doesn't fit their risk appetite, or their investment profile. And also, these people want to meet other people, want to do deals with different kind of people in different countries, etc. So now I realise that, okay, just because I would like to do something with this person doesn't necessarily mean that person wants to do something with me. But if I put these people together, maybe I earn a fee out of it, maybe I get a back scratching relationship going on, and the wheels of commerce just move around more easy. So when I get a phone call now and saying, please can you introduce me to this person, or please can you introduce me to that person, as long as it's going to be a mutually beneficial thing for both parties. When I say mutually, I don't mean with me, I mean those two parties. I will always put them together, because my worst case scenario is I earn a bit of karma out of it. My best case scenario is I get a nice little payday out of it, and I just don't think there's just no upside to hoarding relationships, and that is the same in any business you're in any sector you're in. And as always, everything I tell you is something that comes from my previous week, or from my philosophies and from the mistakes I've made. So when I tell you this, I never tell you these stories from a kind of a self-righteous position of, oh, how amazing I am. I'm normally telling you this story from the fact that these are mistakes that I made, and I've now very much learned from the errors of my ways, and wow, what a difference it's made to my income, or my career, or my business, or or my life, or whatever it may be. So if you guys are watching this early enough on, you can save yourself from making the mistakes that I did. The art of the follow-up. I saw again recently on social media, or wherever it may be, a kind of a soundbite clip about one email or one text message is all you need to change your life. Reach out to that person. And okay, listen, I'm not saying that miracles don't happen. They do. And I'm sure one message to the one person on one day could make your dreams come true. But the reality is it's not going to. But what I thought was important from that to take away is this is where people go wrong. They send the email, they send the text message, the WhatsApp, or whatever method of communication it is, and they never follow up, and nothing ever happens. Or a lot of the time, I might have said to, somebody might have said to me, oh, please can you introduce me to this person, and I introduce them to that person, put them together on a WhatsApp group, or do an email introduction, or whatever it may be, and then I step away because I forget about it at that point. But then a month or two later, or whenever I happen to bump into that person, I might say to them, by the way, how did it go with you guys when I introduced you to each other? And many times I get the response of, oh yeah, we spoke at first and we were due to meet up, but we just never got around to it. Obviously, I think, well, what the fuck was the point of me putting you guys together? You asked to be introduced because you had something important to do together, and you can't even be bothered to follow it up. And I forget what the stat is. I think read again something recently that a customer or rather a prospect needs to be hit by like 7 touch points, or 7 times of communication before they can be converted into a customer. Whether it's 7, 11, whatever, I don't know, but it's certain, the chances of doing anything off one message or one email or one method of communication in the very busy, very distracted world that we live in today is slim to none. No matter, what it's like with your best mates. When your best mate WhatsApps you, and if you don't reply to them there and then, by the time you get round to thinking about it later on that day, either hours has passed or you've just forgotten to reply at all. So when this is, when you're sending when you're sending a message to someone that you're potentially trying to do business with, or a prospect or a partner or whatever it may be, bear in mind you're on the sending end, so you're the motivated one here. The person receiving this message probably at this stage doesn't give a shit. or doesn't know that they should give a shit. So they're not going to put much effort into getting back to you unless it's kind of very, very fresh on the mind, or, they're not doing anything else. They'll see the message, they'll get distracted, they'll see the email, they'll get back on with the day, and they'll move on. So all the responsibility is yours to follow up. And you must follow up and follow up and follow up until you get what you want, or until you get a very firm no and know that that is a dead prospect. Now, don't do it in an annoying way. Don't do it in a sleazy way. Don't be messaging them 6 times a day or calling them 6 times a day, ringing them in the middle of the night when they're asleep. But do not be naive or lazy enough to think that one message or one phone call is going to get you the response that you need. It's very easy to let it, okay, if you're not going to be lazy about it, it's very easy to let ego step in the way as well. I'm sure we've all had it, when you message a girl or you message somebody who you think, oh, I can do this to change their life, and they deserve to have to reply to me. And because they don't reply, we think, well, I'm not going to chase them, it makes me look desperate. Bullshit. Take your ego out of it. Everybody's super distracted today. You know how you are when you receive emails, text messages, phone calls, or whatever from people that you don't know and deal with every day, and it just falls to the bottom of the pile. So follow up is the key message of the day. And again, you don't have to be in sales, or rather, you don't have to have a role with the title sales in for this to be important. We're all in sales in some way. We're all chasing somebody, whether it's a wife, a kid, a subordinate, a potential business partner, someone we're trying to buy a car off, whatever it may be. Do not think that one message will change your life, no matter what Instagram may say. Finally, let's talk about the reliance on one channel, or rather the importance of not relying on one channel. As I said a little earlier on in this, one of my businesses has been heavily affected by this week. Well, over the last couple of weeks, we rely heavily for our sales on Google pay-per-click, on Google Shopping. For whatever reason, it was a technical error, but Google Shopping went down on us a couple of weeks ago, and because of their bots, and because when you're dealing with a big company like Google, you don't get any kind of personal service. We were banged around between email and call center for something like 10 days or 12 days. So for those 10 or 12 days, we didn't have any sales coming to us through the Google, the paid Google search methods. And they were accounting at that time for something like 80% plus of our sales. So sales in that business fell off an absolute cliff. And obviously, I'm telling you this story. I very much appreciate the importance of not having to rely on any one channel, and this is something that obviously we've been working on this business over the last, year or two. But it was just a key message for all of you guys, because whatever line of business we're in, we've all got different routes to market. So this, the business I was talking about in question, obviously is online sales for me, and yes, Google paid search is a massive part of our business. I mean, to us, it's like I say, 80% plus. But we have been working over the last year or two heavily on organic search, on influencer marketing, on paid social marketing, on email campaigns, on all the different methods, on third-party marketplaces. And these are featuring more and more. I mean, if you'd have looked at this business a year or two ago, it was probably 100% Google paid search. Now, like I said, it's probably about 80. Where we need to get to is where it's probably no more than 20. And that's going to take us another year or two, I'm sure, to get there. But whatever business you're in, you are going to be reliant on certain channels. And the key here is to not be overly reliant on these channels, because when they change for whatever reason, and they normally change for some reason outside of your control, and you may think that that's never going to happen, but it does. Again, I can't think of. Well, let's give some examples. If you've got a sales force and you've got one member in your team, if that person leaves, then you've got nobody. It doesn't even have to just be sales. If you've got a department in your business, an accounting department with just one accountant, an underwriting department. We had this in our underwriting department a couple of years ago, where there was two members of underwriting, and they both left within the space of about a month or two, and it left us in a pickle. Maybe, like I said earlier, maybe you're an influencer and you are reliant on one particular channel of social media. You're heavy on Instagram, and to be honest, this is true. Most of the guys that I know who are famous in the influencer world nowadays are totally dominated by Instagram. They're not even present on some of these other channels, or they are present, but they just don't put any effort into them whatsoever, because they I guess they get lazy and overly reliant on Instagram. If their account were to get hacked on Instagram, then their business is finished. It's fucked overnight. It's probably almost impossible for them to restart, because they would be so forgotten and so on the back foot that to start to build up any following on Facebook and Twitter and stuff at that point would be nigh impossible. Okay, maybe even if they don't get hacked, let's just say, we've seen it ourselves enough times on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, where there's some kind of bug in the system and it goes down for 12 hours or 24 hours and people can't make a post or whatever it may be, and the world's going crazy. Even you guys who don't make your money from social media, I'm sure you've all been stressed when you think, shit, I can't do a tweet, or I can't post on Instagram right now. Well, if that was your business and you couldn't do it, how would you feel then? You don't realize how reliant on one channel you are until everything's gone wrong. What's so important is to look at every area of your business from the beginning, like I say, from sales, from employees, from partners, just everyone that you rely on for whatever reason that may be, and look at this as early as possible, and work out how you can build in backup plans, how you can build in redundancy for what you're going to do if that member of staff left, or if that sales channel went down, or if this partner decides to not do business with you anymore, whatever it may be. And again, we talked earlier in this talk about rationalization and how it's always easy to rationalize and go, oh well, this isn't going to happen, or I don't care if that happens. And you make the excuses for yourself until it's too late, and then you realize how screwed you are when that member of staff's left and you've got no one to take over the workload, or you decided that you didn't need to build an internal sales force because you were going to be happy using outside agents, and you'd always be able to rely on them. But all of a sudden, a competitor comes along and starts offering to pay these agents 4% per product more than you're paying them, and you decide you can't afford to pay them that, and all of a sudden these agents have got no loyalty to you, and they all disappear overnight to go and work for somebody else for a higher 4%, and you're there completely screwed with no sales coming into your business. And okay, yes, you could start to build a sales force at that point, but maybe you haven't got the cash resources to weather the storm whilst having no sales coming in. So you've got to do it at the earliest possible point where you can create these backup plans before it gets too late. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna love you and leave you and go back to enjoying sunny Mexico. Like I said, I'm in Cancun today. Travel to Tulum tomorrow. So the next time I record one of these will be next Sunday in Tulum. So I will tell you what it is like there, because I know a lot of my friends have been messaging me, looking forward to hearing all about it. But I hope you enjoyed this weekly roundup. Some common themes as always, but some new slants on those as well, and hopefully, as always, things that you can find immediately useful and immediately implementable in your businesses, whatever they may be. And whenever I tell you these stories, what I want you guys to do is not just take what I say word for word and then ignore me because you think, oh well, Matt's in the finance business and I run a corner shop, or I sell trinkets online, or whatever it may be, and think, oh, there's no point in listening to that piece of advice from Matt because it doesn't apply to my business. Everything I talk about applies to you all in some different way, shape, or form. but it's just down to you to do a translation. You know, like I talk here for half an hour, 45 minutes. I can't sit here and give you every conceivable example for every type of business that you guys are involved in. But what you guys need to do is just have the open-mindedness to listen to my stories and think, how does it relate to you? How can you benefit from it? How can you implement it? So have a great next week, guys. It will be, what will the date? It'll be the 16th, 15th of March, I think, 15th or 16th of March next time we do this. So second week of March, enjoy yourselves. As always, if you like this video, if you like listening to this as a podcast, give me a review. Costs you nothing, takes you 10 seconds, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Like, comment, share. And if you don't follow me on social media, you should do, because there'll always be bite-sized clips of this kind of stuff, and you can see all my daily escapades. I'm at the Matt Haycox. That's TheMattHaycox, the Matt Haycox, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much everything that's out there. So until next time, adios. I hope you found all that useful. See you later. Bye-bye.